They say if you bleed under a blue flame, something answers. I didn't believe it. Not when my friends laughed. Not when the wind howled through the cracked stained glass windows of the old church. But I do now. Because every night since that Halloween, I wake up to a voice breathing my name in the dark. Sometimes it sounds like Ivan. Soft, teasing, the way he used to say my name like it meant something. And sometimes, it doesn't. There's something colder there. Something older. I can feel it even now, watching me, waiting. If I close my eyes, I can still hear that whisper. The one that changed everything. Thank you. And God help me, I think I loved him, even after he stopped being human. Chapter 1. The Dare. Halloween used to be my favorite night of the year. Candy, bad horror movies, pretending I wasn't just the quiet kid no one really noticed. But this year, things got weird. It started at Westfield High's so-called Haunted Night Bash, which was really just a bunch of seniors drinking cheap vodka in an abandoned church outside town. The air smelled like dust and candle wax. The floorboards groaned under every step, like the place was alive. I should have gone home when I had the chance. Come on, Simon. Brooke yelled from the center aisle, her devil horns crooked. You're the only one who hasn't done a dare yet. I was clutching a cup of orange punch, trying not to die of social anxiety. Maybe because I don't want to get arrested for trespassing in a cursed church. Lame, she called, and the others laughed. And then he spoke. Ivan Reyes. The golden boy himself, varsity jacket, messy dark hair, smirk that could melt steel. He was the kind of guy who made teachers forgive late homework just by smiling. And somehow, he was walking straight toward me. I'll do the dare, he said, eyes flicking toward me. But only if Simon does it with me. Cue every head turning. I think my brain flatlined. What? He grinned. You heard me. Let's make it interesting. Brooke squealed, already pulling out her phone to record. Okay, lovebirds. You two get to do a summoning ritual. The others roared with laughter, and I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. But Ivan just winked, grabbed a handful of candles from a dusty pew, and said, let's make a deal with the devil. I don't know why I followed him. Maybe because he made it sound like a joke. Maybe because I'd been crushing on him since sophomore year. Or maybe, deep down, some part of me wanted to know what would happen if I said yes. We lit the candles in a half-circle on the altar. The old air crackled with static. Someone found a book, leather, torn, with symbols that didn't look English, and read out loud. Ivan's voice was low, steady. In the name of the forgotten, we call to thee. The candles flickered blue. Everyone gasped, then laughed like it was a Halloween prank. I laughed too, trying to hide the goosebumps crawling up my arms. Your turn, Simon, Ivan said softly. My hands shook as I held the knife. Blood offering, Brooke teased. I hesitated, then nicked my finger. Just a drop. It fell onto the page. And the flames shot straight up, bright blue, burning cold. Everyone screamed. The lights burst. And in the silence that followed, I swear I heard it. A whisper, right behind my ear. Thank you. I spun around. No one was there. But my heart wouldn't stop pounding. The candles snuffed themselves out, leaving only the sound of nervous laughter. Okay, that was awesome, someone said. Ivan's hand brushed mine as we packed up. You good? Yeah, I lied. Just tired. He walked me home after everyone left. The night was colder than usual, fog rolling down the street like smoke. I didn't know you'd actually go through with it, he said. Guess I didn't want to look like a coward. He smiled. You? Never. We stopped at my porch. The air between us buzzed, awkward, electric. He looked at me for a long second, eyes softer than I'd ever seen. Then he kissed me. It wasn't long or perfect. Just warm, quiet, and real. My first kiss. When I opened my eyes, his breath fogged in the cold air, but the chill around us felt wrong. Heavy. Watching. He frowned. You hear that? I shook my head, but my heart was hammering. There was no sound. No wind. No crickets. Just silence. Probably nothing, Ivan said, forcing a smile. See you tomorrow, yeah? Yeah, I whispered. But later that night, I woke up in the dark, my room freezing, my breath visible. And from the corner, where the shadows pooled thick and deep, something watched me. A voice, faint and cold as smoke, whispered in my ear again. You called me here, Simon. Chapter 2, The Mark. I used to think nightmares ended when you woke up. Turns out, sometimes that's when they begin. The morning after the Halloween party, I felt like someone had poured ice water through my veins. My head throbbed, my skin burned under invisible heat, and every sound, every whisper of wind, crawled inside my skull like static. Mom said I looked pale. I told her I was fine. I wasn't. At school, everything felt off. The halls looked the same, the chatter the same, but I could feel eyes on me, even when no one was looking. I spotted Ivan by his locker, surrounded by the usual crowd. He looked fine, perfect as always, but when our eyes met, something flickered behind his. Just for a second. Like a shadow moving under the surface. He gave me that half-smile that always made my stomach flip. Hey, church boy, he said when I walked up. Don't call me that. I muttered, trying to sound annoyed, but my voice came out small. He leaned against the locker. You good? You look like you haven't slept. I wanted to say no. That I'd woken up 3 times last night to something breathing near my bed. That I kept seeing the shape of a man in the corner of my room, too still to be real. But instead, I said, yeah, just tired. He watched me closely, too closely. You sure? Before I could answer, a sharp pain shot through my hand. The same finger I'd cut last night. I looked down. The skin around the wound had darkened, the faint trace of a symbol beneath it. What the hell? I whispered, pressing my thumb over it. Ivan frowned. You okay? Yeah, it's nothing, I lied again. But it wasn't. By lunch, the pain had spread up my wrist, like something crawling under my skin. I ducked into the bathroom, rolled up my sleeve, and froze. It wasn't just a bruise. It was a mark. A faint circle of black lines, sharp, symmetrical, pulsing faintly, like veins of ink alive beneath my flesh. For a moment, I just stared at it, too terrified to breathe. Then, from somewhere deep in my mind, a voice whispered, "Mine." I slammed my hand against the sink and nearly screamed. The door creaked open, and Ivan stepped in. Simon. I jerked my sleeve down. Hey, I was just. He didn't buy it. His eyes flicked to my wrist, then to me. Show me. I hesitated. Please, he said, softer this time. Something in his tone broke me. I rolled up my sleeve. He stared at the mark like he'd seen a ghost. Slowly, he reached for his collar, pulling down the neck of his t-shirt, and my stomach dropped. The same sigil burned on his chest, glowing faintly beneath his skin. Jesus, I whispered. I thought I was imagining it, he muttered. It started burning this morning. His voice broke off. What the hell did we do last night? I swallowed hard. It was supposed to be a joke. Yeah, well, he said bitterly, I don't think the universe got the memo. We sat in silence for a while. The bathroom hummed with the faint buzz of flickering lights. Finally, I said, we shouldn't tell anyone. He nodded slowly. Right. Because hey, we accidentally summoned a demon during a school party will sound super believable. Exactly. But even as I said it, I knew this was more than just superstition. Something had answered us that night. Something real. Over the next few days, things got worse. I couldn't sleep, not because I didn't want to, but because every time I closed my eyes, I heard it. Whispering, humming, breathing against my neck. The voice sounded like Ivan sometimes. Other times, it didn't sound human at all. Ivan changed too. He stopped joking around in class. His temper flared over nothing. Once, he snapped at a teacher so suddenly everyone froze. Later, he apologized like he didn't remember it happening. And his eyes. Sometimes, when he thought no one was looking, they'd flash, just for a split second, like embers. I kept telling myself I was imagining it. Until the day I wasn't. It was late afternoon. The rain was hammering against the classroom windows, and most people had already gone home. I'd stayed behind to grab my notebook. Ivan was still there, sitting alone at his desk, staring at something in his hands. It was that book. The one from the church. The old, torn one with the strange language. My pulse raced. Where did you get that? He didn't look up. Found it in my locker this morning. Your locker? He nodded, still flipping through the pages. The air around him felt heavier, thicker, like the church that night. I think it's about us, he said quietly. What do you mean? He turned the book around. The page was titled The Binding of Souls. Underneath, there were drawings, two human figures joined by a glowing symbol. Blood linking their hearts. My throat went dry. Ivan, that's... He stood up suddenly, eyes wild. What if it's real, Simon? What if, whatever we did connected us somehow? It's not real, I said, backing up. It's just a story. He moved closer, too fast. The air felt electric. It is real. The lights flickered. His eyes, those brown, gentle eyes, flashed red. I stumbled back, heart hammering. Ivan. He grabbed my wrist, the one with the mark. His grip was burning hot. I can feel it, he hissed. It's inside me. Inside you too. I tried to pull away. You're hurting me. He slammed me against the wall, face inches from mine. His voice wasn't his own anymore, deeper, layered, ancient. You called me here. My breath caught. Now I'm inside him. The air dropped 10 degrees. The lights went out. And then, just as suddenly, his grip loosened. He blinked, confusion flickering across his face. Simon. I gasped, stumbling back. His hand trembled like he didn't know what he'd done. He stammered. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I couldn't speak. All I could see were his eyes in the dark, red fading to brown. He looked terrified. Not of me. Of himself. I think something's wrong with me, he whispered. The thunder cracked outside. I didn't realize I was crying until I tasted salt. I'll fix it, he said suddenly, voice trembling. I promise, Simon. I'll fix this. But I didn't believe him. Because deep down, I already knew. The Ivan I'd fallen for wasn't the one standing in front of me anymore. And whatever was inside him wasn't going to let go easily. Chapter 3, The Possession. I didn't see Ivan for 7 days. No texts. No calls. No posts. Just silence. At first, I thought he was avoiding me. Maybe he was scared of what happened, of that voice that had come through him, the way his eyes had burned like fire. But by the 3rd day, when he stopped showing up at school, people started to talk. Guess Reyes finally dropped out. Someone joked in homeroom. Heard his in juvie. Another whispered. I said nothing. Because I knew the truth, or at least, a part of it. Ivan hadn't just disappeared. Something had taken him. And it was my fault. The mark on my wrist had grown darker. It pulsed sometimes, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. The first night he vanished, I woke up to the sound of whispering outside my window, a soft, guttural chant I couldn't understand. When I looked out, The street was empty. Only fog. I started wearing long sleeves. I stopped sleeping. By the sixth night, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my jacket and biked across town, to Ivan's house. The lights were off, the windows dark. The whole street was quiet. Too quiet. I knocked once. Twice. Nothing. Then, from inside, a low, broken sound. Like someone breathing through pain. I didn't even think. I pushed the door open. Ivan. The smell hit me first. Sweat, iron, something rotten. I followed the sound to his room, and what I saw made my blood run cold. He was on the bed, shirtless, pale as snow. His body trembled like he was fighting something inside him. The same black sigil burned faintly on his chest, glowing, fading, glowing again. Ivan, I whispered, stepping closer. His eyes snapped open. Except they weren't his. The brown I knew so well was gone, replaced by solid black, no iris, no white. Just darkness. Hello, little one, a voice said, not Ivan's voice. I stumbled back, heart pounding. Who are you? He smiled, and it was wrong. Too wide, too calm. You know me already, he said. You bled for him. You opened the door. The air thickened. The candles on his nightstand, I hadn't noticed them before, flared to life, blue like that night in the church. I shook my head, backing away. This isn't real. This can't be real. He stood up, slow and deliberate, the way predators move. Oh, it's very real, Simon. Where's Ivan? I demanded. He tilted his head, smirking. Sleeping. Deep down. You could wake him, if you knew how. Something in me snapped. Give him back. He stepped closer, eyes burning brighter. You think I want to hurt him? I am him now. His body, his soul, his heartbeat, all of it belongs to me. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't move. My feet felt rooted to the floor. The air vibrated around me. He reached out, brushing his hand against my cheek, and my skin burned under his touch. Do you feel it? He murmured. The bond. I flinched away. Don't touch me. He smiled, and for a flicker of a second, I saw Ivan in there, struggling, screaming behind his eyes. Please, I whispered. Let him go. The thing inside him, Osriel, I'd later learn, leaned in, his breath cold and sweet. I can't. You called me here, Simon. You offered blood. You linked us. You gave me a way in. I didn't mean to. But you did. His grin sharpened. And now your souls are one. The world went white for a second. I felt something jolt through me. Heat and pain and something deeper, twisting inside my gut. When I blinked, he was gone. The room was dark. Ivan was collapsed on the bed, breathing shallowly. I reached out, trembling, touched his hand, and warmth shot through me like lightning. For a moment, the mark on my wrist glowed again, pulsing in rhythm with his. Then it stopped. I left before dawn. I don't even remember walking home. But over the next few days, everything started to change. At first, it was just nausea. Then dizziness. Then, things that made no sense. I'd wake up sweating, my pulse racing, my stomach aching like something was clawing its way out. The smell of metal, blood, maybe, lingered around me. And the whispers. God, the whispers. They came when I was alone. When I turned off the lights. When I stood too close to mirrors. Protect my air. I thought I was going insane. But it got worse. The night it rained again, I woke up gasping, pain tearing through my abdomen. I pulled up my shirt, half delirious, and froze. The mark, the one that had been on my wrist, had spread. Thin black veins now coiled around my stomach, meeting at the center where my skin pulsed faintly with light. I pressed my hand there, and something moved. I screamed. Mom burst in, terrified, asking if I was okay. I told her it was just a nightmare. How could I explain that I could feel something alive under my skin? After she left, I curled up on the floor, shaking. The mark pulsed again. And for the first time, I felt it. Not pain. Not terror. A heartbeat. Tiny. Fragile. Inside me. I sat there for hours, crying, shaking, trying to deny what every instinct in my body already knew. It was impossible. It was wrong. And yet, deep down, I knew whose it was. Ivan's. And something else's. The next night, the dreams started. I was standing in that church again. The candles lit, the shadows crawling like smoke. Ivan stood in the aisle, shirt torn, eyes red. "You shouldn't have come," he said, voice breaking. "I had to," I whispered. "You're in danger." He shook his head. "No, you are. He's inside you now. You're carrying his." He never finished. His mouth opened, but another voice came out, deep, ancient, echoing through my skull. "You will protect my heir, as promised." The blue flames roared around us. Ivan screamed. I woke up drenched in sweat, my hands clutching my stomach. When I turned on the light, the mark was glowing again. Faint, rhythmic, like a pulse beneath my skin. That night, I understood what the voice meant. I wasn't just cursed. I was pregnant. Pregnant with something that wasn't supposed to exist. The next day, I skipped school. I couldn't face anyone, not with the bruised circles under my eyes, the faint sickly glow still tracing the sigil under my clothes. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror for what felt like hours. My skin was pale, my lips colorless, but my eyes, they looked older somehow. Haunted. You bled for him. You opened the door. Now your souls are one. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to shake the voices off. But when I looked back up, my reflection didn't move. It stared back at me and smiled. "Protect him, Simon." The light bulb above the mirror burst. I screamed, stumbled back, fell to the floor. When I looked up again, the reflection was normal. Just me, trembling, broken, breath hitching in my chest. But the whisper lingered in the back of my mind. And I realized with horrifying clarity, Osriel wasn't gone. He was inside me now too. Inside me, and inside Ivan. Bound by blood. And inside me, something new was growing. A heartbeat that shouldn't exist. Chapter 4, The Child of the Blood Moon. It's been 3 weeks since the night I found out. 3 weeks since I felt that impossible heartbeat pulsing beneath my ribs, faint and wrong and alive. I haven't told anyone. Who would believe me? Who could? I'm 17. I shouldn't be carrying anything, much less something born from a curse. But every day, I can feel it growing stronger. It's not like a normal pregnancy, at least, from what I've read. There's no morning sickness, no visible swelling. Just heat. Constant, burning heat under my skin, like fire trying to escape. Sometimes, at night, I wake up and see a red glow beneath the blanket. Like something inside me is trying to shine through. And sometimes, I hear him. Osriel. He doesn't always speak. Sometimes it's just the faint hum of words I can't understand. Sometimes it's Ivan's voice, gentle, loving, whispering my name. Other times, it's not Ivan at all. It was early November when I finally broke. The mark on my skin had begun to ache again, darkening, spreading up my ribs like a spiderweb of black fire. My body felt feverish. I'd stopped going to school, telling Mom I had the flu. But that morning, when I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My skin was pale and thin, my veins faintly visible, pulsing faint light beneath the surface. I pressed a hand to my stomach and whispered, "What are you?" And the whisper answered, faint, like wind through a graveyard. "Mine." That's when I ran. I didn't know where I was going until I found myself standing in front of St. Agatha's Chapel, a small church at the edge of town, one of the only places I still remembered from childhood. I used to come here with Mom on Easter. The smell of candle wax and old wood hit me like a memory. Inside, it was quiet, empty. I sank into a pew, clutching my jacket tight, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself cry. Not just from fear, from exhaustion. "Are you all right, son?" The voice startled me. I turned to see an old priest, thin and kindly, with tired blue eyes and a gentle voice. I don't know," I stammered. He sat beside me, folding his hands. "You've been crying for some time." I looked down at the floor, then back at him. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me." There was something in his tone, not pity, but patience. The kind of quiet strength people only get after seeing too much. So I told him. Not everything. Not the kiss, not Ivan exactly. But the ritual. The mark. The voice. The dreams. The warmth under my skin. He didn't interrupt. He didn't laugh. He just listened. When I finally finished, I said, "You think I'm crazy, don't you?" He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "No. I think you've been marked." I blinked. "What?" He stood, moving toward the altar. "What you described, the sigil, the blood, the shared mark, it's an ancient binding. The kind that doesn't just link two souls. It creates a vessel." My breath caught. A vessel. He turned. "Something is growing inside you, Simon. Something that doesn't belong to this world." I felt sick. "You mean?" He nodded grimly. "A child. Not of man, not of heaven. A vessel for rebirth." I wanted to laugh, to scream, to run, but I couldn't move. "Father," I whispered, "what happens if it's born?" He hesitated, then said, "The demon will live again. Fully. If it's born under the blood moon." I frowned. The blood moon. "Next Halloween," he said quietly. "The night your ritual took place. When the veil between worlds is thinnest. Next Halloween. A year. A whole year to carry something that wasn't human." My chest felt like it was collapsing. "There has to be a way to stop it." "There is," he said. "The binding can be broken before the moon rises again. But only if the vessel, you, renounce the bond." "Meaning?" His eyes met mine. "You must end it. Before it's too late." My stomach twisted. End it. It wasn't a child. Not really. Not human. But it had a heartbeat. It was alive. And yet, every night, the whisper inside me grew clearer. "Protect my heir." I wanted to scream. To tear the mark from my skin. To forget I'd ever bled on that page. The priest placed a hand on my shoulder. "Son, this isn't your fault. But if you keep it, you risk losing everything. Your life, your soul, perhaps the boy you tried to save." I froze. "What did you say?" "The boy," he said. "The one who was with you. He's bound too, isn't he?" My throat went dry. "How do you know that?" He gave a sad smile. "You aren't the first." Those words echoed in my head long after I left the chapel. That night, I dreamed again. I was standing in a room filled with smoke. A single candle burned in front of me, its flame black. Then I saw him, Ivan. He looked weaker than before, pale, eyes shadowed. But this time, there was no red glow. Just sorrow. "Simon," he whispered. I ran to him, but he backed away. "You shouldn't be here." "I need to see you," I said. "I found someone who can help." "He says." "I know what he says," Ivan cut in, voice sharp. "He wants to kill it." He stepped closer, eyes shining with desperation. "If they kill it, I die too." I froze. "What?" He grabbed my shoulders. His hands were warm, real. It's me, Simon. Whatever's inside you, it's part of me. He used me to make it. My heart twisted. Then tell me what to do. He shook his head. I don't know. I'm losing time, losing myself. Sometimes I wake up covered in blood and I don't remember what I did. Sometimes I hear him speaking through my mouth. I touched his face. We can fix this. He smiled, a broken, beautiful smile. You always say that. Then his expression changed. His pupils dilated. Simon, he whispered, voice breaking, run. His eyes bled red. And the thing inside him, Osriel, looked at me through Ivan's face and said, you can't save him. You can only carry what remains. I woke up screaming. The next day, I went back to the church, but Father Jonah was already waiting for me. He looked different, pale, nervous. Simon, he said, you have to come with me. Now. Why? The moon is changing. The mark, it's accelerating. I hesitated. What does that mean? He took my arm, pushing up my sleeve. The sigil was glowing again, brighter, sharper. The veins of light had reached my chest. It's happening faster than I feared, he said. The vessel is maturing. My stomach twisted. You said I had a year. I was wrong, he said grimly. The demon's power grows with your connection to him. If it continues, the birth will happen under the next blood moon, this Halloween. My voice broke. That's 2 days away. He nodded. Then we have 2 days to end it. Before I could speak, the candles in the chapel flickered. The air turned cold. And then, a voice, deep and furious, echoed through the hall. Touch him, and you'll die. The windows shattered. The crucifix above the altar split down the middle. I fell to my knees, covering my ears as Father Jonah shouted prayers into the wind. The voice roared again, shaking the ground. He is mine. And just like that, it was over. You have to choose, Simon. Save yourself, or save the boy. Chapter 5. The night the message came, the rain wouldn't stop. It hammered against the windows like fists, steady and furious, while lightning crawled across the sky like veins of white fire. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, reading that text again and again. Meet me at the church before midnight. Ivan. It didn't make sense. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. Not a word, not a whisper. The last time I saw him, he was barely human. And yet, the message felt real. I could almost feel him through it. The same energy that had once pulsed in sync with mine. Midnight. The church. I checked the time. 11:07 p.m. My hands were shaking as I pulled on my hoodie and left the house. Mom called something after me, but her voice drowned under the storm. I didn't care. I couldn't. If Ivan was reaching out, if there was even a chance he was still alive beneath all that darkness, I had to go. The streets were empty, just wind and water and the echo of my footsteps. Every flicker of lightning turned the world ghost white, and for a heartbeat, I could see my reflection in the puddles. Pale, haunted, eyes too old for my face. When I reached the church, the doors were already open. The candles inside were lit, though no one had been there since that night Osriel's voice shattered the stained glass. The light flickered across the pews, throwing long shadows across the cracked floor. And then I saw him. Ivan stood by the altar, drenched, head bowed, hands trembling at his sides. For a moment, I couldn't move. My breath caught in my throat. He looked real. Not the dream version, not the phantom that haunted me, but flesh and blood. His clothes clung to him, dark with rain, and his hair was plastered to his forehead. Ivan, my voice broke on his name. He looked up, and my heart cracked. Those eyes, they weren't glowing this time. They were just his. Tired, human, filled with the kind of sorrow that shouldn't exist in someone so young. "Simon," he said softly. "You came." I nodded, stepping closer, afraid that if I blinked he'd vanish. "You texted me." I didn't know if it was really you. "It's me," he said, but there was something strange in the way he said it. Something that made me stop. "What's going on?" I asked. "Father Jonah said." "I know what he said," Ivan interrupted, voice tightening. "He wants to destroy it. Destroy us." He stepped closer, and I could see how badly he was shaking. "It's not just you that carries him, Simon. He's in me too. Every time you feel that heartbeat, I feel it too." I swallowed. "Then why call me here?" "Because he's getting stronger," Ivan whispered. "He's pushing through me, through you. He wants to be born, Simon." Lightning cracked outside, and for a second, I saw something move behind him, just a flicker, a shadow like wings. "I can stop it," I said. "Father Jonah said if I end the bond." "If you end it, I die," Ivan said sharply, eyes wide with terror. "Don't you understand? He used me to make the bond. If you destroy it, my soul goes with him." The words hit me like a blade. "No," I whispered. "There has to be another way." He looked away, shaking his head. "He wants to make you choose. That's why he let me call you here." "Choose?" Ivan lifted his gaze, and for a heartbeat, I saw the red flicker again. "He's coming." The candles went out. Every single one. The church fell into darkness. I froze, my breath sharp in my chest. Then I felt it. Heat, crawling across the floor like smoke. The same heat that had been living in my veins for months. And then came the voice. At last. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Deep, smooth, terrible. The kind of voice that wasn't spoken but felt, like it was vibrating through my bones. Ivan staggered back, clutching his chest, and I saw the mark on his neck flare to life. "You've carried my seed long enough," the voice said. "Now it is time to claim what is mine. Leave him alone." I shouted into the darkness. "Take me instead." A sound like laughter rolled through the air, low and ancient. "You think you have a choice?" And then he appeared. Not fully, just his outline, black smoke forming into the shape of a man with wings that brushed the ceiling, eyes burning gold. The sight made my vision blur. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to hide, but I couldn't move. "Why?" I rasped. "Why me?" Osriel tilted his head, his voice soft and cruel. "Because you opened the door, little vessel. You bled for me. You spoke my name. And now, your body sings with my power." Ivan stepped between us, trembling. "Don't touch him." Osriel's golden gaze flicked to him. "You would defy your maker." "I didn't ask for this," Ivan said, voice breaking. "You tricked me." Trick. The demon's form solidified further, shadows peeling away like smoke in reverse. "I gave you what you begged for. Love. Strength. A chance to save him." Osriel turned back to me. "But you both forget the cost." Lightning burst through the broken window, illuminating his face, beautiful and horrifying all at once, like something sculpted from flame and bone. "You want to save your beloved," he whispered. "Then carry my heir willingly. Let it be born, and I will give him back to you, whole, untouched by my curse." I stared at him, heart hammering. "You're lying." "Am I?" His grin was all teeth and sorrow. "He is dying, Simon. Even now. The mark consumes him faster than it does you. But if you say yes, I can stop it. The child will be my vessel, and I will leave your world. Forever." Ivan's voice was barely a whisper. "Don't listen to him." I turned to him, eyes burning. "If I don't, you die." He reached for me, his hands shaking. "If you do, you lose yourself." He won't stop. He never does. Osriel's gaze softened, mockingly tender. You love him, don't you? Then prove it. Let my heir live. The church trembled. The rain roared harder, thunder shaking the walls. Ivan fell to his knees, coughing, blood on his lips. The mark on his skin glowed red-hot, veins burning beneath the surface. Simon, he gasped. Please, don't let him in. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could hear was the sound of my heartbeat, and the smaller one beneath it, faint and insistent, like a drum calling from within. Osriel extended a hand toward me. Smoke coiled around his fingers, curling into a shape almost human. Say yes, and he lives. Ivan's voice, weaker now, say no, and you stay free. The world tilted around me. The candles flared back to life, one by one, their flames turning red. The air burned in my lungs. Every part of me screamed that this was wrong, that it couldn't end this way. But when I looked at Ivan, at the boy who'd once saved me from drowning, the boy who'd smiled through every storm, I knew I couldn't let him die again. So I whispered, yes. The moment the word left my mouth, the world exploded. Flames erupted from the sigil on my chest, twisting into a halo of light. Ivan screamed, not from pain, but from relief, like the curse had torn out of him and into me. Osriel's laughter filled the church as the roof cracked open. The blood moon shone down through the storm, crimson and cold. It is done, the demon said, his wings unfolding fully for the first time. You have chosen love, and love is always the greatest sacrifice. He reached out, touched my forehead, and everything went white. When I woke, the church was in ruins. Rain poured through the broken roof. Smoke curled around the shattered altar, and Ivan was lying beside me, breathing, alive. But something was wrong. The mark was gone from his skin. All of it. His eyes were clear again, no trace of red or gold. But when I looked down at my hands, I saw the veins glowing brighter than ever, pulsing like molten light. The child inside me, whatever it was awake now, moving, alive. Ivan stirred, eyes fluttering open. Simon, his voice was raw, human, fragile. I did it, I whispered. You're free. He looked at me, and the tears that filled his eyes weren't relief. They were fear. What did you do? He whispered. I couldn't answer, because deep inside, I already knew. Osriel wasn't gone. He was waiting, inside the heartbeat that pulsed beneath my ribs, whispering to me in the voice of the storm. Soon. Chapter 6. The Birth Ritual. When the first tremor hit, I thought it was thunder again. But then the floor moved, slow, deep, like the heartbeat of something buried beneath the earth. I was in my room, or at least what was left of it. My walls were plastered with sigils that had begun to glow faintly through the wallpaper. Every mirror had cracked on its own. The air smelled like rain and iron. It had been 3 nights since the church burned. Ivan hadn't left my side. He'd cleaned my wounds, stayed awake through the screaming fits, and tried to smile even as my skin shimmered faintly with that unholy light. But tonight, the glow was stronger. I could feel something beneath my ribs, pressing outward, slow, deliberate, alive. It's starting again, isn't it? Ivan asked from the corner, voice low. He looked exhausted, hair disheveled, eyes ringed in red. Every hour he stayed near me, he seemed smaller, thinner. Like the curse hadn't left him fully. Like he was fading. I can handle it, I said, though my voice shook. It was a lie. I could barely stand. The mirror behind him quivered, a ripple moving across its surface like water disturbed by a drop of blood. I knew who was watching. I could feel him. Osriel didn't need a body anymore. Not when his power was growing inside me. Soon, my vessel. His voice whispered through the glass. The moon rises, and you will open the door. Ivan flinched. He's in the mirrors again. I know. I turned away from the sound, clutching my chest. He won't stop. Simon, Ivan said quietly. We have to go to Father Jonah. I laughed bitterly. You told me not to trust him. I know what I said. But if we don't stop this, he'll come through you. He'll use the child, use us. The word child hung in the air like a blade. Neither of us dared to call it anything else. I nodded weakly, because there was nothing else to do. So we went, through the rain, through the empty streets that had gone too quiet since that night. Even the wind felt heavy, as if the town itself knew what was coming. Father Jonah's church stood at the edge of the forest, old, cracked, half forgotten. The front doors were chained shut, but light flickered from within. Ivan kicked the chain loose, and we stepped into a sanctuary that smelled like incense and old fear. Father Jonah was waiting near the altar, a silver cross in one hand, a book in the other. When he saw me, his face went pale. It's too soon, he whispered. The moon isn't full yet. It doesn't matter, I said. He's coming. Jonah crossed himself, then gestured toward a circle of salt and candles already drawn across the floor. I prayed this day would never come. The vessel lives, the bond complete. Only one way remains. Ivan stepped in front of me. You can't hurt him. Jonah's voice trembled. You don't understand. That thing inside him, if born under the blood moon, the demon will anchor itself in our world. It will destroy everything. Then we stop the ritual, Ivan said. Jonah shook his head. You can't stop what has already begun. You can only end it. His eyes met mine. Simon, you must give up the child. My breath caught. I'd been expecting the words, but hearing them aloud broke something inside me. Ivan turned to me, voice breaking. Don't listen to him. If you die, I die too. You said it yourself. Jonah's gaze hardened. That's what he wants you to believe. Demons weave half-truths. The boy you love may already be gone. I'm right here. Ivan shouted. And then the air changed. The candles flickered blue. The temperature dropped so fast that my breath came out in clouds. Jonah's cross began to smoke. Ivan grabbed my arm. We need to leave, now. Before I could move, the windows shattered inward. Wind and ash filled the room. The world tilted, and suddenly we weren't in the small church anymore. We were back at the old one. The abandoned church from Halloween. Except now it wasn't abandoned. The walls glowed with sigils carved deep into the stone, pulsing red with each heartbeat. Candles floated in the air, and at the center, a black altar burned with blue fire. Ivan's hand slipped from mine. I turned, but his eyes were glowing red again. Ivan. My voice came out as a whisper. He blinked, confusion flashing for a moment. Then his expression twisted, something dark curling behind it. You shouldn't have come here, little vessel, Osriel's voice said through his lips. My chest tightened. No, please, not again. The time has come. He spread his hands, and the sigils flared brighter. The blood moon rises. The heir must be born. I fell to my knees as pain tore through me. Fire, light, and agony twisting through my veins. I could feel the energy inside me unraveling, pulsing toward the altar. Ivan, or what wore his face, knelt beside me, smiling softly. Don't fight it. Let go. It's the only way for both of us to live. Ivan, I gasped. If you're still in there, please, fight him. For a moment, his smile faltered. His eyes flickered blue, Ivan's blue. He whispered, Simon. But then Osriel roared through him, and the church shook. Father Jonah appeared at the doorway, raising his cross high. In the name of. He didn't finish. Osriel flicked his hand, and the priest was thrown across the room, crashing against the pews with a sickening sound. He didn't move again. I crawled toward Ivan, clutching his wrist. You don't want this. You never did. His hand trembled. I can't stop him, he whispered. He's too strong. You're stronger. He laughed weakly, tears in his eyes. You always believed that. I took his face in my hands. Because it's true. Something in the air changed. The flames dimmed for a heartbeat. I felt Osriel's anger crack the stone beneath us. But Ivan, my Ivan, leaned forward and kissed me. It wasn't a kiss of passion or desire. It was goodbye. The sigil on my chest blazed white. The mark on his neck flared red. And somewhere between them, light erupted, pure, blinding, burning away everything in its path. Osriel screamed, his form ripping apart, wings folding inward like ash in the wind. You would destroy yourself for him? The demon shrieked. Foolish child. Ivan's voice came through the noise, faint, desperate. If one of us must die. My voice joined his. Let it be me. The world shattered. Flames, light, and silence, all at once. Then nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the cold stone floor. Smoke curled around me, soft and grey. The air was still, too still. The sigils had burned out. The candles were gone. I looked down and saw a tiny bundle resting against my chest. Warm, alive. The baby. Its eyes opened, bright blue, innocent. For a second, they flashed gold, then back again. My heart clenched. Ivan was beside me, his hand still clutching mine. His skin was pale but peaceful. No mark, no shadow, just him. He smiled faintly, lips barely moving. You saved me. Tears blurred my vision. We saved each other. He exhaled once, softly, and his hand went still. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the broken windows. The fire had stopped. The church was nothing but ashes and smoke. I held the child close, whispering to it, as the morning bells began to toll. The sound echoed through the silence, gentle and final. I don't remember leaving. I only remember waking in the hospital, white walls, machines humming softly. The nurse told me I was lucky, that they found me in the ruins holding an infant, both somehow alive. No one knew how. They said a gas leak caused the explosion. They said the fire had erased everything. No one remembered the church, the ritual, or even Ivan. But I did. Every night, I see him in my dreams, standing under the blood moon, smiling that soft, tired smile. And every morning, when I wake, I hear a voice in my mind, deep, quiet, not cruel anymore. I promised I'd never leave you. The baby stirs beside me, small fingers wrapping around mine. For a heartbeat, its eyes flash gold, then fade to blue. I don't flinch anymore. Maybe love doesn't end. Maybe it just changes shape. Outside, Halloween bells ring through the city. Light, distant, echoing against the morning sky. I kiss the baby's forehead, smiling through the tears. Happy Halloween, Ivan. Chapter 7. The Morning After. I used to think silence was peaceful. Now it scares me. Hospitals are full of it. That slow, sterile hush between heartbeats and footsteps. The kind that makes every thought echo too loud in your head. It's been 3 days since the fire. 3 days since the world forgot. They said I was lucky. They said I should rest. They don't know what really happened. A nurse comes in every few hours to check my vitals. She always smiles at the baby first. A small, perfect thing wrapped in pale blue. They think she's my sister's child. I didn't correct them. I couldn't. How could I explain that this tiny life once carried the weight of a world that almost ended? The first morning home, sunlight slipped through my blinds and hit the bassinet. The baby stirred, cooing softly. For a second, I forgot everything. The fire, the screams, the way Ivan's body went still in my arms. There was only that sound, small, human, hopeful. But then I saw it again. That flash. A blink of gold beneath the blue. It was gone as soon as it came, but it was enough to make my chest tighten. Osriel hadn't lied. He'd said he'd never leave me. Maybe he'd meant it as a curse. Maybe as a promise. Either way, I felt him, faintly, like a shadow breathing through the child's heartbeat. At night, when the city sleeps, I hear the whispers again. Not words anymore, just feelings. Warmth. Safety. A strange, aching kind of peace. It's nothing like the cold voice that haunted me before. It's almost gentle. Sometimes I wonder if that means part of Ivan is still here too. The police called it an accident, a lightning strike during the storm. An old building like that, one spark and poof, the officer said with a shrug. No questions about sigils or smoke or missing priests. Just paperwork. I signed everything without reading. It didn't matter. The truth was too heavy for words. At night, I sit on the porch with the baby in my arms and watch the sky. The moon has gone back to its ordinary color, white and distant. The world looks the same as before. Kids still laugh down the street. Car horns still blare. Life moves on. But I can't. The scar over my heart hasn't faded. When the light hits just right, it gleams faintly, a remnant of the mark that once burned between us. I trace it sometimes, feeling the echo of two heartbeats where there should be one. Ivan's laughter comes back to me in fragments. The way he teased me at the party. The warmth of his hand that night we kissed under the broken cross. He was more than the curse that took him. He was light and stubborn hope, and the reason I survived. People say ghosts fade when you stop remembering them. But I can't stop. A week later, I went back. The church grounds were fenced off, blackened stone and ash where the altar had stood. I shouldn't have been able to get in, but the gate swung open on its own. Inside, the air smelled of rain and burnt candles. The ground was warm beneath my shoes, as if the fire still lived somewhere deep below. I walked to the center, where the sigil had once been. The baby stirred in my arms, eyes half open, calm. For a moment, the wind shifted, soft, like a sigh. And I heard him. You kept your promise. I froze. The voice wasn't Osriel's this time. It was Ivan's, quiet, human, full of that same weary kindness I'd fallen for. I didn't look around. I didn't have to. He was everywhere and nowhere, woven into the breath of the place. I tried. I whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. You did. The wind carried the words, thin but certain. I felt a warmth against my cheek, like a hand brushing away tears. The baby smiled then. A small, perfect smile that looked too familiar. And I realized what the demon had meant when he said our souls were bound. It wasn't just a curse. It was a fusion. Fragments of all three of us tangled together in one fragile heartbeat. Ivan's kindness. Osriel's power. My love. All of it living in that tiny body now sleeping against my chest. I knelt, placing my hand on the scorched stone. If you can hear me, thank you. For everything. The wind quieted. The world went still. On Halloween morning, 1 year later, the world was bright again. I'd moved to a small town upstate, away from the memories, away from the stairs. The baby, our child, had just started to laugh. A real laugh, loud and contagious, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. His name on the birth certificate reads Evan. Some nights, I call him Ivan by mistake. He just giggles, like he understands the mix-up. He's growing fast, too fast sometimes. When he stares at the moon, I see the light shift behind his eyes, that flicker of gold that never truly left. But he's kind, gentle, and when he reaches for me, all I feel is love. The world has forgotten, but I haven't. Every October, the air still hums with that same electric stillness, and I wonder if somewhere, beyond the veil, Ivan and Osriel are watching. If they are, I hope they see what became of their heir. Tonight, as the bells ring through the town square, children in costumes running between houses, laughter spilling like candy wrappers across the street. I sit by the window and hold Evan close. He yawns, tiny and warm, then murmurs a sound that almost makes me drop him. It's not a word. It's a whisper. Papa. I freeze. He's never said that before. And then, faintly, beneath his voice, I hear another, older, softer. Happy Halloween, Simon. Tears sting my eyes before I can stop them. I press my forehead to his and laugh quietly through the ache. Happy Halloween, Ivan. Outside, fireworks bloom across the night sky, red and gold and silver, painting the world in colors that look almost like wings.
Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end of The Child of the Blood Moon. If you enjoyed this story, the mystery, the emotion, and the touch of darkness, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good supernatural tale. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life. And as always, keep your lights low, your heart brave, and your mind open. Because sometimes, the monsters we fear the most are the ones we fall in love with. Have a hauntingly beautiful Halloween season, everyone. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next tale.